How's it going, Math Scholars? Today we're going to be talking about analog and digital time. Ooh, big words, but we're going to talk about what those mean. And if you've been following along in our different topics, you'll notice that there's something familiar. We see this big old clock face that we've been using for other topics. Now, this is an example of analog time. Analog time uses things like, mechanical hands and different signals to tell the person who's using the clock what time it is. Whereas a digital clock uses an actual computer processor inside that calculates or measures the time and then displays it to you. The analog doesn't. The analog literally inside has some gears that rotate, and how fast they rotate determines how fast these turn. So, now that we know what analog and digital is, let's talk about converting from analog to digital. And this is super easy. We've been doing this already. You guys have been naturally doing it. Basically, it's just writing down this time in a numbers format, right? And previously, we learned that it was 7:45. Notice how I have the hour, a colon, and then the minutes. Oh, that was pretty easy. We know how to do that. The question is, can we go from this all the way back to here? How do we go from digital to analog? And that's a little bit of a harder skill. So let's talk about that first. Well, we know that there are at least two hands we need to draw. We need to draw the minute hand, and we need to draw the hour hand. So we need to think critically about which hand do we draw first. And I know I have the answers to the right, but think about it for a moment. Which hand do you want to draw first? And a lot of you guys might be tempted to think, well, if it's 7:45, the hours comes first, so I should draw the hour first. And let me talk about why that is not the case. If we draw the hour first, we're going to have to point the little hour hand towards the 7. Something doesn't look right. As we learned in previous units, the hour hand should also move slightly towards the 8 depending on what the minute is, what the minute hand is. And if the minute hand is close to being 8 o'clock, the hour hand should also be close to 8 o'clock. That could be a problem. So, I would suggest that we draw the minute hand first. And if it's 7:45, we know that the minute hand must point towards 45 minutes, which is the 9. And you see it represented here. I'm going to draw a bigger arrow over it so that you can see it. So now that we know where the minute hand is, let's talk about where the hour hand is. So since the minutes are pretty close to 8 o'clock, it's closer to 8 o'clock than it is, it's closer to 8 o'clock than it is all the way back around to 7 o'clock. Let's think about where the hour hand goes. Does the hour hand go closer to the 8, or does it go closer to the 7? In this case, it will probably be closer to the 8 because the minutes are already pretty close to 8 o'clock. So we're going to draw this not quite towards 8, but in between 7 and 8, leaning towards 8 o'clock. And that's how you draw the hour hand. So this is key to understand that in order to draw it correctly, you have to draw the minute hand first so that you have an idea of where to put the hour hand. And if you don't, then we'll end up with just hour hands that only point to 6, or only point to 5, or only point to 4, or only point to 3, and there will be information loss about, is it closer to 4, or is it closer to 3? So I hope that was clear. And if you want, please move on to the skills section and the practice problems so that you can get some practice, and I will see you there.